Hey, John and Daphne, this is Dallas, and just letting you know, hey, just following up. Thanks for the conversation yesterday. And I was just going to kind of show you a little bit about what some of the spreadsheets and things that I've looked at or been working on. So I'm going to send this as an Excel file to you, and also you can go through it. This is just kind of just some basic ideas that I've been thinking about and contemplating and trying to put together. But the first, this is what I call the area functions of a practice. I've devised 21 different areas to be able to look, to be able to teach to different practitioners. And again, I'm going to say this, this is obviously changeable, adaptable. It's just a work in progress at this point. But as I have over here, I've made this functions of a practice. As I talked to Daphne about, we were going to talk about how about let's do lens on your practice, just like we would do lens on a client. So I've devised this to have 21 different areas or functional areas of a practice. And over here to the left, hey, let me see if I can even draw on this. Over here on the left, we have the functions of the practice. I've called them OZ, FP1, O2, T4, just kind of put it into the context of a lens map following the 1020 system. We can change this, add to it, but I just thought it was innovative or be able to connect to a lens map. Each one of these areas has a different function that's associated with it. First one is making enough money. I think that's a question that all providers are going to look at, and everybody can scale it on the way that they want to scale it. One person might be saying, hey, if I'm making 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a year, that's great. Or if they want to make 60, 70, $80,000 a year, that's great. But they have to be able to determine. All of these are determined on a scale of 1 to 10. And we'll be able to map that as we have over on this side right here, and just to be able to see how they're doing. So we have making enough money. What is your ideal client? Is that something that people need work with? Office space. How is your office space? How would you describe it on a scale of 1 to 10? Referral from professionals. Do you get referrals from professionals? How about the customer experience? What is your website? What is your advertising? Now, advertising obviously starts breaking down into a lot of other things, your digital marketing, print ads, speaking to networking groups. All of that is kind of a subset of advertising. How about referrals from other clients? Are you good at it, or are you asking, or do you need help or improvement? How about record keeping? Is everything just on your lens system, or are you keeping external records, that are HIPAA compliant? And what system are you using? How should you keep records? What does your practice entail? How do we explain that? Also, I come back to this ties back into is are making enough money, but am I working too many hours? Am I putting in how many hours a day do I want to work, and how many hours a day or a week am I working? It's just something to be able to talk about. How about price of services in products? Uh, how are you priced? Are you priced competitively? Are you the cheapest? Are you the most expensive? It's a discussion to be had, and finding that right niche for you is obviously vitally important. Branding and marketing. Obviously, this ties back into our advertising, but branding and marketing is really important. What is the message that you're putting out on social media, your website, your print ads, or print materials? Is it consistent, and does it look good? Who is your competition? This is an interesting phenomenon because I look at it, we're not just in competition with other lens providers that are within the area that we live or the city that we live. How about chiropractors? How about pediatricians? How about counselors? It's all competition, because what I look at competition is anybody that's trying to take away or utilize for clients to get better. How do we We're competing against them. How do we stack up? Are we competitive? And can we get our market share? What is your vision, purpose of your practice? John, you talked about doing on your one page business plan of putting a vision, purpose of your practice. Have people done that? Have they not? I don't know. Uh, Networking with peers and others. Do you get involved in networking? Can you explain what you do when you go out to a networking event, what your lens practice is, or what is your practice? Harmonized Brain Centers, we use a multimodality approach. So we're not just lens, it happens to be our primary modality, but we have added other things to our practice that enhance our practice. And that leads us to the O1 here, and that is adding services to your practice. Do you have a methodology or a philosophy of how you add and why you add services to your practice? I'm sure, like everybody else, you get inundated with everybody has something. Oh, you need to add this, you need to do this. Does it fit? Does it fit within your space? Does it fit within the modalities that you want to do? And it's a great discussion to be had. And I have some other things that I've worked out, just going through the logic of how do we add something to our uh, practice. Continuing education, firm believer uh, that we need to be continually educated, not only on a professional level. I look at it on to stimulate what is going on, what's new, what's innovative, what's working, what's not. So continuing education is a vital practice or something that we need to do. How do you stay in regulatory compliance? This opens up a big ball of wax. Everybody has different licensures in different states and different things, but it's something to be really talked about. And how do we go through that process? How about your accounting? How are you accounting for your systems? How do you account? What is your cost per unit? What is your cost of goods sold? Those are all different things that we need to be able to help people explain and do. Not that they have to do it themselves, but how do you ask the questions of your accountant, of your financial advisor to be able to help you along that process? Explaining lens. Lens is not always the easiest thing to explain because people are like, what do you mean? What do we do? Teaching people to be able to have a concise explanation. So therefore they can sit there and confidently portray that to their clients, their peers, their networking groups. And also how do we become more consistent in what we say and what it can accomplish and what it cannot accomplish. That's just as important. Business structure. Are you a sole proprietorship? You're an LLC, a C corp, whatever. Just kind of going through some basic business structure and let people think about what they want to do. This is taken as an idea to everybody would take a survey. This is subjective. This is their answers. And we would want to see anybody at an 8 or above. That might change. And if it's an 8 or above, it has no red. If it has red, these are areas that need to be worked on. So if they take the survey as Oaks Labs, or I'm going to say as Harmonized Brain Centers, then we could sit there and look and see where do we need to help these people as practitioners. Some people might be, all eights, nines, and tens, but I can guarantee out of these 21 areas, something needs help, or they wouldn't be actually taking the survey. So this is just an idea doing lens on a practice, and that would be very interesting. Second page down here, uh, cost per use. This kind of gets into a little bit of the, I'm going to say the accounting side. But when we come down here, why can I not do this? There it goes. Cost per use. Some of these numbers might be a little bit off. I might need to readjust them, and that's something that we can do and start refining. But the lens software is about $11,600. I'm not sure if that includes it with the computer or not. I just need to ask the question and find out. But I also put here, so 11,600, $1,000 for the computer, a second screen in our office. I have a second screen that I can monitor, people can monitor and see. A photon stimulator, about $2,000, $2,300, $1,800 at different times, whatever that is. We can change that. So our total capital outlay is about $14,800. Capital cost yearly, and YB16, yes. Okay, so I have this as our total outlay, and I'm saying that the system is going to have a lifespan of 5 years. I just had a system, everything was working great. It lasted about 8 or 7 years. I'm just putting a number of 5 years. So our yearly cost is about $2,960. Annual supplies, up or down, about $400. This is the new prep, 1020 paste, and actually one or two active or leads. Also, if you're doing a lot of body lens, the tabs that use. This can change a little bit. So we get a yearly cost of about $4,800. And if we're doing an average weekly clients, we're about at 10. If we just average, that's 500 sessions a year. And at $500 or 500 sessions a year. And so that's coming out, going back to our capital cost, about $9.72 per use for our system. Okay. From a business standpoint, that's not too, that's basically in essence cost of goods sold. This is what it's costing me every time I use my lens system. But if I jump that up to 20 sessions per week, then it's about $4.86 or 86 cents a use. If I'm at 40, then I'm at $2.43. And why did I put 20? Let me put 60. Then we're down to $1.62 per use for our system based on a 5-year period. That's saying I'm replacing the whole system in 5 years. That number can actually be argued because you're not having to replace your whole system in 5 years. You might have to replace the computer, maybe the amplifier, but that's not the total cost of replacing it. So that's just as an idea of how I've broken it down here on office space. Maximize office space. In our Colorado Springs office, I have 2 offices that are dedicated for lens. If I was open for 10 hours a day, not saying that it's me doing all the work all the time. This is actually bringing on other practitioners to do this, but just theoretically, if I'm open 10 hours a day, 60 minutes per day, days per week, if I'm open 6 days a week, this number can be changed to whatever it is that you want. And I plan on 45 minutes per session. My sister or Sherry in Nashville, they actually only work about 30 minutes per session. They work through people about every 30 minutes, 2 people per session or per hour. So this is changeable. So in essence, I could do 13 sessions per day. Okay, that is the max. I'm not saying that that's actually realistic or doable. I might even put if we could reach 80% of this. Office space in our Colorado Springs office is 2 offices. So I could theoretically, a maximum's office space, utilizing it all the time, I could do 160 sessions per week. Now, that's a heck of a lot of people 1 week in an office. Theoretically, that's what could be done. So if you were 10 hours a day, 6 hours, 6 days a week, you would have 60 hours a week of an office staff person because the practitioner is not going to be able to do the lens, take care of the office, customer service, take payments, and all of that set. This is planning on having an office staff person. If you're paying them $15 an hour, then this is what your weekly pay is. But if I come down here, if you are at the maximum rate, that's only $5.67 or 63 cents per staff person. It would cost you $5.63 per client per for your staff person. So now you can add your capital cost of the lens system, add that to your office help, but that's also saying that we're going to keep it at a maximum level. So this is just kind of a little bit of a breakdown. I'm going to send this to you. I figured it's easier for me to talk on video than it is to try to type all this out. However, I am working on that also, and I will be able to get it to you here shortly. And I look forward to seeing you and Daphne on, I guess it is on Tuesday, 6 o'clock my time and 5 o'clock yours. So I hope this helps, gives you a little bit of information or kind of my thought pattern in direction that have been working on. And I'm also working on with Sherry in Nashville and how I'm trying to expand harmonized brain centers, obviously using lens neurofeedback. See you on Tuesday.